Hey everybody, my name is Stephanie Priest. I'm the CEO and founder of Ignite Fitness and Kickboxing, and I'm super excited to share in this video today how is it that I can actually have alcohol and continue on my path to wellness, right? Lots of people along the way have asked this question: how is it that I count this in my macros? How is it that I move this forward? And there are lots of different options, but one of them that I want to talk to you about is why is it that alcohol actually makes us gain weight? And what are some alternatives, one in particular, which is my favorite, of how it is that we can continue to move towards our wellness goals and not go completely off track? And then maybe I'll give you a couple recipes at the end of it. So some alcohol is just absolutely horrendous for us. And the reason of that, you guys hear me say it all the time, is because of the sugar content. And in America, we tend to like all the sugar. Like that's our biggest vice in America, is all that amazing sugar. And what happens is you gain weight, right? When there's all this sugar in the different drinks that we have, if you're consuming them on a consistent basis. So when you think about the number one leading cause of obesity in the United States, it truly is because of sugar sweetened drinks. And the reason for that is, and I've said this before, is there's this increase in insulin levels, right? And whenever you have those increases in insulin levels, that is a storing hormone, it automatically gets kicked on. And what actually gets kicked off is our fat burning hormones. So whenever you're thinking about why is it that sugar does this to me, really remember when we talked about hormonal imbalance, that one of the very first things that we talked about was really balancing that insulin. And anything that has lots of sugar will cause those insulin levels to spike and that fat storing to naturally turn on. So we want to stay away from that. When you think about really sugary sweetened drinks, think about this. There's no fats in there, right? There's no protein and there's no fiber. So because of that, it doesn't slow down the release of insulin. And that's really what we want to do. We want to maintain that insulin and those the glycemic index at a very nominal rate for our bodies. So when you have something that's really sugary and really sweet, then naturally your insulin levels spike because there's nothing in there to cushion it, right? There's nothing in it to slow that release of insulin down. You have this massive spike. So when the storing hormones turn on, remember those fat burning hormones turn off, right? So really make certain that you are looking at the content and the sugar content of alcohol. So what exactly does that mean? You really want to look at the quality of alcohol that you're consuming. So remember when you guys were all in college and you were walking around and the floors were like, and you're like stuck to the floors? That's not the alcohol that you want, right? It's got all the sugar in it, so we don't want that. So let's talk about what it is that we should stay away from, okay? So when you think about spirits are going to be the things that you want to lean more to, right? And the reason that you're going to want to stay away from some of these other like Alka-Pops and things like that is because the sugar's in them. Already explained that. One of my favorite things to drink is tequila. And one of the reasons that it's one of my favorite things to drink is it truly is one of the cleanest liquors that's out there. However, when you think about this, when you go to the store, you just can't buy any bottom shelf and expect that to be okay, right? So what happens is in the United States, they're required to label the tequila that they actually have out there. And what they'll do is they'll label it as 100% agave. That is what you want. The reason that you want that is because there's no additives in that, right? It's literally 100% agave. If it's not 100% agave, then what it's considered is a mixed dose. And this is what that means. It's 51% agave, but 49% of absolutely anything else, right? So it doesn't matter what it is. It can be potatoes, it can be wheat. And for those of you who have like gluten allergies, this is a massive problem. They're not required to disclose what is in the 49% of other. So when you think about, oh my gosh, what is it that I'm consuming? I'm consuming tequila. Tequila can't have a negative impact on like my belly, right? And we talk about that a lot also. It can't have a negative impact on it. Well, it actually can if it's a mixed dose. If it's a mixed dose, then whenever they have those, they can put wheat, potatoes, all kinds of stuff in there. So boo, if we're gluten-free, right? It totally ruins us. They put additional food items into our spirits. So when you go to the store, I really want you to make the commitment to look at for 100% agave. That's what you're really going for. So tequila has a different profile, right? Because the type of sugar that's actually in it, one of the better sugars, right? It's one of those better sugars. So we don't process it and it doesn't increase the glucose levels. It's actually called fructan, right? You guys have probably heard that along the way somewhere. It's a better type of sugar. It doesn't have it doesn't cause that natural increase in our glucose levels, in our insulin levels. All of that stuff is what we're trying to minimize. So really think about that as you are looking at the different tequilas that you're trying to purchase. I'll give you guys a couple of recommendations later of ones. You can do reposados. Those are going to tend to be, they're going to have like a little more oakiness to them, or you can go with a Blanco. So the reposado is going to have that brown look to it, whereas a Blanco is going to be blank, right? It's going to be like clear. So really think about that whenever you're looking at it. You can do a reposado or you can do a Blanco, but you really want to go for the one that is 100% agave in there. We want to keep it clean. We don't want to add a bunch of stuff into it, right? So the other thing that I wanted to talk to you about is whenever additives are put into the different spirits that we drink, have you guys ever woken up and you're like super anxious? There's lots of different factors that impact that, but whenever they put those other additives in, that's actually what causes the anxiety when you wake up the next day. I mean, I know you're like, oh my, what did I do? And that causes some anxiety, but really it's the extra additives that they put into it. So we really want to keep it clean and make certain that we're looking for that. And tequila is just my like drink of choice. So I always like to talk about this one. Agave tequila doesn't have that impact on you. Now, maybe the one you drank in college has that impact, but normally, like if you go with something that's definitely not bottom shelf, definitely something that's 100% agave, you're not going to have those issues. We just really want to make certain that the tequila that we're using is clean, right? Like that's our biggest thing. So a couple of different recipes that are actually pretty tasty. What you can do is start with like a Blanco, so it's 100% agave. Take that. 2 ounces of 100% agave blancos, and then you want to add 2 ounces of water into that. Whenever you put those together, then you want to take an orange, like a quarter of an orange, and you want to squeeze that freshly squeezed orange in there and then shake that puppy up. It's really citrusy, it's really light, it's actually really refreshing as opposed to like the sugary, syrupy drinks that a lot of times you'll get served right at the bar. You guys know what I'm talking about. Another one that you can actually do is with the reposado, and it's really quite good. So you're going to want to use reposado, you're going to want to use Aperol, and then you're also going to want to use lime. That would be what I would stick with. You can like adjust this, but notice that I've went with some that aren't necessarily sugary, super sweet. I've picked different fruits that tend to be lower on the glycemic index to add into these. So if you're using the reposado, we're going to go with 2 ounces of reposado. Then you're going to go with 1 ounce of Aperol and then a quarter of an ounce of that lime juice to put in there. Shake that bad boy up, pour it over ice. Again, super, super refreshing. Think about using things like grapefruit, orange, lime. Those are all really good. And what they do is they add a little bit of flavor, but they don't take away from the actual spirit itself. And I don't know about you guys, but I actually like the flavor of tequila. So for me, that's not a bad thing. So think about that. Those are a couple of different recipes that you guys can try. Let me know if you like them. If you need some recommendations, I can shoot you guys some recommendations. I'll put those below of just some different ones. But really, when you walk in, you just want to look for something that says on the label 100% agave. They have to disclose it. If it is not disclosed, it is a mixed dose. If it is a mixed dose, then they have tons and tons of extra added stuff in there. And we definitely want to make certain that we don't have extra stuff. We want to control the stuff that we're putting into our body. So hopefully you like this content. How is it that I drink and continue to lose weight and continue to move forward on my fitness journey? This is how you do it from a lifestyle perspective with my favorite drink, which is tequila. Talk to you guys later. Have an amazing one. Make certain that you hit subscribe, make certain that you press like, make certain you drop some comments in to the YouTube. And we're super, super excited to share this content with you. So make certain that you keep on liking it. Talk to you guys later.